I'm world famous already. Oh my God. So I'm talking about maintaining the integrity of spirit in relationship. And it was funny because when we were singing the words, how could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? What if we could own our own beauty, our brilliance, our integrity, our divinity, and stand in that power in relationship to everyone we meet? Don't you think the world would be a better place? Yeah. Did you know that Ernest Holmes did not write about relationships? Did you know that? I looked in the science of mind. There is nothing about relationship to another person in the science of mind. But what did he write about? Relationship with who? Self. Ourself. Relationship with ourself and our connection to the one source, the one power, the one presence that is omniscience. Interesting. But he didn't really talk about, well, how do we take this and bring it with other people and be it with other people? Because he believed that when we are living in the integrity and divinity of our spirit, in that deep connection with the oneness, relationships would be okay. There wasn't much to worry about there. Because when we can bring ourselves in relationship to one another, knowing that we are divine, and therefore so is this other person that we are in relationship with. And we are always in relationship. Always in relationship. Be it intimate relationships, working relationships, community relationships, friendships. We're in relationship, and we're meant to be in relationship as human beings. So there are a couple of governing rules about relationships that I would like to talk about this morning. And one is that we cannot receive the brilliance, the love, the beauty, the joy, the happiness, the peace from others unless what? We have it to give ourselves. Yes. There's a book called How to Be an Adult in Relationships by Don Rico. It's a great little book. He's actually, I think he's got about 4 out now on being an adult and showing up in an adult place in relationship. And what I love about his work is he really integrates the psychological aspect of being in relationship, because he talks about family system and how that affects us. And he integrates and weaves that into mindfulness and spirit in relationships. And he talks about 5 aspects. Let me just make sure I get them all. Attention. We all need attention in relationship. That's giving ourselves attention, being nurturing and loving to ourselves, as well as giving others the attention that they would like to have. And we'd all like a little bit of attention, yes? Yeah. Next one he talks about is acceptance. Accepting ourselves for who we are and accepting others for who they are. And I was watching a YouTube video with Cheryl Richardson and Louise Hay. And Cheryl Richardson asked the question, Louise, When you look at yourself in the mirror to say, I love you, because Louise Hay, and if you're in Sonia's class, you might already be doing this, she suggests you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you, and affirm yourself. So Cheryl Richardson asked the question, what do you do when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're supposed to be saying, I love you, but you see all the flaws, like the nose hairs sticking out? And Louise Hay says, without missing a beat, well, you say, I love you, honey, and it's time to get out the clippers. And then she said, and if you're not old enough to understand that, you will someday. So it is about accepting ourselves and loving ourselves in all areas of our life, loving our bodies, loving the wrinkles, loving those little nose hairs, and going, I'm okay. I'm okay. We are closing off actually, our season of Thanksgiving. And he talks about appreciation, Don Rico in his book. Giving appreciation, appreciating ourselves, and giving appreciation. And I'm going to come back to appreciation at the end of the talk, because as we close off our season of Thanksgiving, I have a really cute little story about gratitude to tell you about. But yeah, appreciating ourselves. And affection. Wouldn't you all like more hugs in your life? A little more affection? Hugging ourselves, loving ourselves, and also giving and receiving that affection. And the last A that he talks about is allowing. Allowing ourselves to show up authentically, and allowing others to show up as who they are. Because as we know, we're all one. And yet we're all unique and we're all individualized from this one power, this one presence. And it's all those little unique, individualized, quirky aspects of ourselves that we need to allow and embrace in ourselves, and as well allow others to be who they are. Yes? So if we could allow people just to be who they are, as opposed to needing them to be something for us, expecting them to be something for us. As this brings into the other aspect of the second rule, guidelines in relationships, is what we experience in relationship with others is a reflection of who? Ourselves. Ourselves. Absolutely. And it's always, always a mirror. So the great thing is when our lives are filled with these incredible relationships and they're exciting and passionate and powerful and filled with joy, that's great. That's reflecting who I am. The difficulty is one morning I walk in here and Tanis doesn't say good morning to me. And we'll call it hypothetical, because no, she has never not said good morning to me. But say she doesn't. And I go, well, who does she think she is? And I start making up a whole story in my mind. Well, maybe she doesn't like me anymore. Maybe she doesn't want to be my friend. Maybe there's something wrong with me. And all of a sudden, I've created this whole story in my mind about something that happened in an exchange that might not even be true. But I've created this story in my mind. And this can happen in many situations. Anybody ever had a boss say to you, "I'd like to see you in my office"? And all of a sudden you feel about 10 years old going, oh, what did I do wrong? Ooh, we just lost our dignity as an adult in that moment. Because all of a sudden, that person has all the power. My boss, I've done something wrong. Ooh, I'm going to be in trouble. And so I make up a whole story. And how many of you find yourself getting maybe just a little bit defensive? Thinking of, you know what? I'm not going to let that person get away with that. Or you start to shut down and get really, really small. Am I hitting a little chord there? Because just a little. Because this kind of thing happens all the time in relationship. We get triggered. We get reactive. Because we have perceived somebody doing something or saying something or looking a certain way. And all of a sudden, uh-oh, I'm that little emotional child of about 10 years old and I have no power. And I've completely given my power away. The good news is that's not the truth. That's not the truth of who you are. This is when treatment comes in really, really handy to know that, okay, I can take a breath. Oh, in this one moment, right here, right now, I am one with Source. I am divine. I am whatever it is. Thank you for this moment because I know I'm triggered here. And this is a divine opportunity for me to learn something about myself. For me to learn about myself. Because whatever I perceive in someone else is a reflection of myself. Yeah. So what is it that I can learn about myself in this moment? Because it's never, ever about the other person. I was working with someone yesterday, and she was telling me, well, my husband comes home, and he talks about work in a certain way, and I just want to help him, and I just want him to change the way he talks about work, because he has so much to be blessed about and thankful for. And I said, okay. This is a divine opportunity for you to see the blessing in this situation and for you to stand in the truth of who you are, that you are divine, you are powerful, to see your husband as divine and powerful. He is not a victim in this at all. And how can you speak and acknowledge this blessing? How can you stand there and say, yeah, well, you know what? You have a lot to be grateful for in your work situation here. It gives us a really good, healthy living. This is an opportunity for you to learn about yourself, to get clear about what it is you don't want. She said, I could say those things. And I said, yes, and you can stop seeing him as powerless. Because we often tend to see people as powerless in situations. And no one is powerless. None of us are victims. This teaching teaches us that about the law of cause and effect. We are the cause and we experience the effects in our life. If we don't like the effects, guess what? We have the power to change. We have the power to show up differently. We have the power to speak differently and interact with people differently and remove the stories, all those stories that we've created in our minds about that person. and see that no one's a victim here. Every single person has the power to create the relationship that they desire. And any time that we are triggered and we're reactive in relationships, it's not about that other person. It's about us. I'll own it. It's about me when I'm triggered. And I do get triggered. And then I can go, all right, what is it that I am projecting out there that I don't want to own in here? Oh, I'm experiencing that person as cold and indifferent? When have I been cold and indifferent? Oh, I'm experiencing that person as closed-minded? When have I been closed-minded? It's always, always a mirror for us. And so when we can own that, yes, we have our triggers, and they're divine opportunities for growth, for us to become more aware of how we choose to be the cause in our life, to experience a different effect. You can then stand up in the truth of who you are and go, oh yeah, you know what, this whole story out here, I can let it go, because there is only one truth. And that truth is, we are all one. There's one divine power and presence throughout the universe. It is right here, right now. And in every opportunity, every experience, I have choice in how I bring myself to the relationship. I have choice in how I bring myself to the relationship. And what am I choosing? Because I can choose to show up as what I call an ABV, angry, blaming victim. Or I can choose to show up as an adult and really sustain that adult place of connecting to my own essence, my own power, and removing all the stories to see that, you know what, that person, they're just doing what they do. And I might not have any idea why Tanis didn't say good morning to me. She might be really busy. She might have had something else on her mind. I have no idea unless I ask, unless I check it out. Because you see, people aren't against us. People aren't against us. They're for themselves. We're all in our own little world, doing our own little thing for ourselves. And sometimes we forget to take a look, to sort of go outside of our shell here, to take a look and go, oh, what am I putting out there? What's the effect that I am creating? And how's that effect working for me in my life? And when I can own for myself, ooh, I have a reaction. Reactions? Ooh, those, I think of it as a little scrub brush that goes inside of me. It's like, ooh, it's rubbing me the wrong way. Ooh, that's not about that other person. That's about me. And what is my divine opportunity here in this moment to learn about myself so that I can love myself more fully, accept myself more fully, appreciate myself more fully, warts and all, and allow myself to be really seen for the divine human being that I am. And so, in appreciation one of the things that works really, really well is taking note of what it is that you appreciate about that other person, that boss. There's always something. If we dig really deep, there's something we can find. There is something. Or that husband, or that partner. Yeah. Or ex. There is something. And here's the thing. Often we'd rather be right than happy. Yeah, but it doesn't always work so well, the effects of that. Doesn't bring a lot of joy and love back into our lives when we'd rather be right than happy. So to really step into appreciation for yourself first, right? We need to be filled up. We need to be loving ourselves, appreciating ourselves, taking good care of ourselves, acknowledging ourselves, so that we can also receive and we also have something to give. Yes? So to bring it back to yourself and find something to appreciate in the other person, which brings back to this this weekend is the American Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to any Americans here today. And a little story, there's a man, I heard a story about this man who for 1 year, every night, wrote in a book what he appreciated about his wife. And after a year, he gave her the book. Oh. And what happened between them was magical, because the more he started to appreciate and feel gratitude and acknowledge the lovely things in his wife, it's funny how she changed. Did she? Or did he start to see her differently? Because that's the difference, right? When we pull back the veil and we start to see someone for who they are. So the more that we can appreciate them, we can start to see the truth of who they are as well. And there's one couple that I did a coaching session with, and they're getting married next July. And so I suggested that they each get a book and write what it is they're grateful for and appreciate in each other, and on their wedding day, give it to each other as a gift. And again, really start to open yourself up and see that every one of us have incredible gifts to give to the world. And everybody's just doing the best that they can with what they have. And so the more that we do the best we can with what we have, we can receive the gifts of others, and we can also give the gift of ourselves, which is our own integrity, our grace, our beauty, our talents, our love, and hold that place in that adult place of, yes, this is who I am. And I own it. I own it. And wouldn't it be nice if we all started owning it? So I invite you this week to start a gratitude journal. Sonia has a great one out in the bookstore. And either do the gratitude for yourself, or do it for somebody else in your life. And just take note of how, if you're doing it for somebody else, how that other person just magically changes right before your eyes. Because you're changing. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.